Okay, welcome back everyone to the Athlete's Mind podcast. Just quickly, just want to say a big thank you to everyone for the recent support. You guys have been amazing so far. We're really trying to get these footy episodes out at the moment. Today, we're joined by Josh Browne in the studio, a WAFL League player for the West Coast Eagles, a very talented footballer, bright future ahead. Josh, thank you for taking the time to come in today. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, good, mate. I've been looking forward to this one. We've really been trying to get these WAFL players on, so it's good. A question we always ask our athletes when they come on, the first thing is, how did you get into footy? Give us a bit of backstory. How did you find that initial love for the sport?
Yeah, like most, sort of grew up into it pretty much. My dad was doing a bit of coaching down at Claremont, so I'd go down and just sort of run water as a real youngster, and then it was sort of my turn to put on the boots for the Auskick days and sort of just followed it all the way through.
Yeah. And what junior club did you play for when you were younger? Did you win any flags? How was that sort of experience?
Yeah, it was good. I played down at Applecross Hawks.
Yeah.
So that was my local club. Played there for majority of my juniors. We won a flag in year 7. Year 7 sounds so little, but like something I'll never forget. Yeah. And then year 9 we made another grand final, but ended up losing that, and then that team sort of lost numbers due to PSA and things like that.
Yeah,
so
PSA, yeah.
I ended up moving to Bull Creek Leaming, which was where a lot of my schoolmates were, and we managed to win a flag the year I was there as well, so year 11, which was pretty cool.
That's good, because I know a lot of people actually don't end up getting that chance to win a flag throughout their footy career, and even year 7, it's still a flag at the end of the day that you'll never forget. Have there been any other sports that you've tried out throughout your journey, or has it just always been footy as your focus?
I've definitely dabbled in, quite a few sports, but footy was always the main one.
Yeah.
Like, it was always the one that I had the biggest interest in, but don't get me wrong, like, I played a lot of cricket. I've played there with my schoolmates, and we ended up winning a flag there as well, and that was
nice.
a year to remember for sure. Bit of tennis, bit of basketball, but yeah.
Always been footy, yeah. I mean, that's good. Like, it seems like you've had a lot of really cool experiences with winning flags, even in outside of footy. That's awesome. Now, talking currently, so you're 20 years old, playing league. Have you found it hard to manage that life and footy balance, training, playing games, and managing everything else in your life, whether that's social life, parties, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's certainly at times not easy, but I think I found a pretty good balance now. It's something that I sort of had to find, probably back in my Colts years, just to get a good balance of footy and work and other things. But I've got a pretty structured, week now I know when I'm training, I know when I'm working, I know when I've got uni on, and then, I also know when I can catch up with mates and things like that. So I like to think I'm doing it all well, but there's always areas that I want to improve on.
100%. Would you say you found it harder to maintain that balance when you were at school, and you found it a bit easier now, or have you found it?
Well, school did give you that, 5-day a week, real structured sort of day. So in that sense, it was really good. But I wouldn't. They're pretty different. As in uni, I'm only there for a couple of hours a day. Where school, I was there the whole time. So in different aspects, school was easier. But I think, the way life is, it's better to be able to balance it outside of school.
Definitely. And at the moment, you're obviously playing with West Coast. You made the transition from East Fremantle, your old club, to West Coast. I sort of want to ask you, how did you find that initial switch to a new club, new players, and how did that sort of come about?
Yeah, well, it sort of came about after my, Colt year, my draft year. Not going in that, I sort of, laid out the options of best possible, scenarios that I could go down, and Eagles ended up, probably being the best one, whereas I'd get more league opportunity, sort of being under, West Coast's eye, essentially, a fair bit, which is, I think it's benefiting me, and I'm, happy with the decision.
And obviously Eagles, being a fairly new addition to the WAFL system, how is the club run compared to other teams, would you say? Is it different in any ways compared to East Fremantle?
I mean, it's certainly got that different aspect of, where we rely on the AFL list and we rely on the WAFL list as well. So you're sort of balancing two teams essentially into one. But we like to think we're one team, but it's just a lot more boys to, try to keep healthy, not injured and things like that. So it's different in that way, but again, it's, the trainings and everything's pretty similar, and they do it pretty good.
Yeah, because I think, you guys, you have had a bit of a rough run lately. Would you say that's like, because you look at teams like Freo and West Coast, obviously West Coast have now implemented the WAFL team and Freo have Peel. Would you say that can sometimes be a disadvantage with having the AFL managing their players through the WAFL, maybe not having time to build that structure in your team?
I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage, because, the opportunity to have AFL boys playing your WAFL teams a massive advantage. And when we're fit and firing, like, we're really good. Like in the pre-season games, we won all three, and then obviously the derby happened and a lot of players went down. So when we do have the advantage of the AFL boys, you guys are up there 100%. And what about the coaches and staff at the club? Have they been like very supportive with you and your development? Yeah, big time. We got all the coaches down there are just wanting to help. With the advantage of having, coaches that work in the AFL system also work with us, and then, coaches that have been involved in AFL systems like our head coach Rob. We get a lot of good advice, and they got a lot of time. They want us to improve. 100%.
And also like having, like you mentioned before, those AFL players coming down, every week to, with training and games, you would probably learn off them as well, would you say?
Yeah, big time. And they're pretty open to wanting us to help, and we all play the same game plan. So they're really big on us, trying to just play that. That's the main thing. Don't worry about anything else, but if we can get that going, we're a pretty good team.
Now, one thing I do want to ask you is round 3, funny enough, it was actually against East Fremantle. This is a bit random, but Will Schofield made his highly anticipated return to footy, snagged a goal. What was your initial reaction to hearing that news and playing alongside Will Schofield?
Yeah, obviously watched him growing up as a kid, and we sort of got the news on Wednesday that he was going to play, and he came down and trained with us, and I think a lot of the boys were just excited that he, wanted to give his time to come help us. And, he mentioned pretty early he wasn't going to, take the game by his hand and drag us over the line. It was just more having his voice in your ear, telling you where to go and things like that. Just the leadership he brought was a big positive.
Definitely. Because I was, to be honest, when I saw it on the Instagram, I heard the news, I was in disbelief.
Yeah.
But no, it was pretty cool that he went down, and like you said, he was mainly there for that leadership aspect, that's awesome to see. Now, taking a step back, I want to sort of talk about your time with East Fremantle, in particular your 2021 season, which I believe that was your draft year. You averaged 32.4 disposals, overall a really good season. Would you say that was your biggest year for footy you've ever had?
I'd like to say in that year it was, but I think I've grown last year and this year to feel like I'm having bigger seasons each year. It was definitely a year I'll, never forget, not because of, my form throughout the year, just like it was so fun to play with some of your best mates in that side, and we had a real good state program as well, and everyone was pretty well connected through that. But the last 2 years I'd like to think that I've just keep sort of developing on that.
Yeah, definitely, because the following year in 2022 you moved straight into league. I sort of want to ask you, because the WAFL players that we do interview on here, they talk about the jump from Colts to league. How did you find that jump? Like, was there a difference in pace in the game? Did you find it hard to adapt initially?
I think initially they just genuinely are bigger bodies. They've had a lot more years in the gym, so it's a eye opener that you got to put on a few kilos. But I'd like to think I made the jump okay, but you sort of grow because you're playing against better players, so they sort of pull you up a bit.
Yeah, it's good for your development, and you've maintained your your disposals and overall game performance really, really well from that jump. Something that I do want to ask you though is, when you moved to West Coast, was it weird at first playing alongside the other boys that you often see playing on TV, like your Piccicellis, those sort of guys, training with them, playing alongside them? Was that like a bit of a shock to you at first?
Oh, 100%. Like, it's such a different, seeing them on TV and then seeing them in real life and understanding their personalities. It's like, you take in a lot at first, but it certainly was a shock. But they're all just like normal blokes and they all just have time for you, so it's pretty easy to get along with them.
Yeah, because one of my cousin, Corey, he plays reserves, and he played a WAFL pre-season against you guys, and he was telling me how nervous he was going into it because he was playing against Piccicelli and, you know, all those guys, and I was nervous for him. But at the end of the day, you know, they're normal blokes, but yeah, I can imagine it would be a bit weird at first. Yeah. I also just want to get a bit of a gauge on the gym program with the footy. What is the gym program sort of entailing for you at the moment? Obviously, in the off season, you focus quite heavily on it. Does it change throughout the season?
It does. You know, our S&C is pretty big on we can still sort of improve throughout the season, but at the moment, you know, they just sort of lower the reps, increase the weight, and just make sure you're just maintaining that strength and, you know, trying to up it gradually throughout the season. Is
there any like personal goals you have for this year in the gym?
You know, the bigger goals will probably come in the off season, but definitely like I'm still trying to put on weight and, you know, just consistently increasing reps or weight in the gym each week and just making sure that I can hold my own, you know.
And building that strength. Yeah, that's very good. Now, we'll quickly move on to something different. This is something new that we've introduced on the podcast. A bit of quick fire questions. So we've got 5 for you today. Just, you know, get a bit to know you. Obviously, you are joining us here today. We've done this in our last 2 episodes and yeah, it's quite good. So first one, I've got 5 for you. First one is, what is your favourite food? Go-to food.
If I had to go grab something out of the fridge, a nice wood fire pizza, I think.
Yeah, that was the same as me. You just can't go wrong with pizza. Who is your favourite AFL player of all time?
All time? Luke Hodge, I think. I'm a Hawk supporter, so...
That's a good one, yeah. What is the nickname you get out on the field from the boys?
Browne, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Nice. And what is your dream job outside of footy?
At the moment, I'm studying a commerce degree, so
nice.
I think I want to go into sort of the stockbroking side of the world.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say something about that. I was listening to an old podcast of you. I've heard, you know, back in your school days, you were quite, you know, a bit of an academic weapon, mate. Like 96 ATAR. How was that like managing the footy and all the ATAR subjects you were doing at the time?
I think that's where I learnt the balance that we were talking about earlier of, you know, school and footy. So, yeah, it was definitely challenging, but I, you know, sort of always strive to get a good sort of ATAR result. So that's something I put a bit of time into. So.
Nice. Because, yeah, I can tell you, mate, that 96, that's a really good score. Like, managing that with footy, that I can imagine would have been hard work. We'll move on now just to a bit of mental questions that we ask all our athletes as well. With all the training you do, you know, you're training all the time. Do you ever feel mentally burnt out? And how do you sort of manage that?
Yeah, I think, you know, everyone sort of gets to this stage where, I don't know, mentally you do get drained out, but I think it's just sort of, I don't know, I think it all leads back to just balancing things and, you know, don't get too caught up in the footy world because that's sort of where you can get most drained is, you know, constantly, you know, getting yourself involved with that. So it's just taking time away from it.
You say you sort of, like, you know, when you are tired sometimes and you have a bit of a break from footy, do you have any hobbies you like to do to sort of take your mind off footy for a little bit?
I think uni keeps me pretty busy.
100%.
Yeah, uni and then filling my calendar with work and sort of things.
Yeah, it's not a lot of time to balance and all that stuff. And what about like mentally preparing for games? Do you have like a game day routine before the game? Are you like superstitious of anything? Because I know a lot of people interviewed say like, oh, they're very superstitious. They have to wear the right socks and all that sort of stuff. Do you have anything like that preparing?
I used to be really superstitious in my culture.
Yeah.
Like, sort of knew what I was doing right up until the bounce down, which wasn't a bad thing, but I think it ended up, you know, I didn't want to have superstitions. I wanted to have a routine. Because like if I wasn't doing it, I was getting stressed out. So like I just wanted to sort of wipe the plate clean, sort of at the start of each year, and then just have a routine. But if I start questioning it or getting stressed about not doing it, then I just completely forget about it. So just go into the game with more of an open mind.
Nice. Now, this next question is a bit broad. We get many different answers from people we interview, but what would you say sort of motivates you to keep pushing in footy? Do you have like a key goal in your mind that when the days are hard or even the good days, you just think to it and you're like, I'm going to keep pushing because of this reason?
Certainly, and it's to get on an AFL list for me.
Definitely.
That's the big goal, pretty much. It's why I try to, improve so much, and it's always been up top for me. So it's something that I'll continue to strive for.
100%. Do you think maybe you might have a chance at the mid-season draft this year?
Yeah, like I think I can definitely put my hand up for that, and I definitely wouldn't say no.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see, mate. I'm sure, with you keep putting in that work, you'll get there. Now, we did get a few questions sent in for you. Something that might resonate a little bit with you from a couple of years ago. Browne, Ethan, you did go on their podcast. They sent in a couple. So 2 questions from them. The first one they sent in is, do you still have ambitions to be a farmer?
To be a farmer? I do remember that conversation, and sadly the ambitions are over. So
Yeah.
I think I'll stay in Perth.
Fair enough. And this next one, do you think you look like the Winter Soldier?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand by that. I'm pretty sure they put up a poll after the podcast of that, and majority of the answer was no. So I thought that debate was solved many years ago.
Yeah, I did give that a listen, and I knew what your answer was going to be today to that. So, yeah, but where did that actually come about, that old Winter Soldier thing, by the way? Was that like one of your mates or?
Yeah, pretty sure it was one of the boys from Footy, Lachlan Turley. He just made up. I don't even know how he thought of it, but managed to get it onto a podcast, and we're still talking about it today, a couple of years later.
2 years later. Oh,
good on him.
That's pretty funny. And one more from Nicholas Siciliano. What is your thought process when running out to play?
Probably the first, wherever I'm playing, just my first contest. I'm pretty big on, I think everyone is just getting involved early. So, that's sort of what I'm thinking.
Getting that good start. All right, well, we've reached the end there. Just want to say a massive thank you for taking the time today to come on. We really do appreciate it. Awesome insight there. And, we wish you the best of luck for the future. And, never know, maybe mid-season draft be looking likely for you. So thank you. Everyone listening, this will be on YouTube, Spotify, or podcast platforms. Go and follow the TikTok, the Instagram. Just quickly, those of you who do watch till the end, something big is in the works. Can't say too much about it, but keep an eye out. You don't want to miss it. So, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you.